Welcome. Today we are looking at the refactoring of our database class method module, some of the methods within that, as part of the Finance Manager project that I've been working on for the past few weeks. So taking a look at our module, the database class methods, we have four methods that were used to make calls to the database. We have the all method here, which returns all of the rows from a particular table within the database. We have the find method, which returns a single row from the calling table based on the ID that's inputted as an argument. We have the where method, which returns a series of rows from a specific table where a column name matches the value that is inputted. For example, in the case of our program, if you wanted to find the certain transactions, that would be the transactions table, and you knew the account, so the account ID equals some value. So that would return to you a list of transactions which are specific to a particular account. The last method we have is the add method, which adds a row based on the input from the program to the database. How did we refactor these methods? Well, we made them drier and we made them a little bit closer to single responsibility principle. We added two methods which do not affect the database at all, but are used by the other methods frequently enough that we could create them as separate and distinct methods. The first is the table name method here, which just creates a string of the name of the calling table. And that's used in every one of the methods here. You see table name here, table name in the find method, table name in the where method, table name down here in the add method. Basically returns whatever the calling class is, that name as a table name, so that it can be used by the SQL query. The second method is the results as objects. Now this is ORM, so we're trying to return everything from the database, or send everything to the database as an object. The database is going to send us output as an array of hashes, and we want to turn those array of hashes into objects. That's what this results as objects does. It takes the results from a calling method, turns all of those into objects of the calling class, and then returns that array of objects as a variable called objects. And that's used here in the all method. It's used also down here in the where method. So what we've done to refactor and to make our database class methods a little bit better is to dry them up, make them a little bit more single responsibility SRM minded, so that each of the methods doesn't get too long, and we have methods doing single responsibility, taking care of one thing at a time. In action, if we go to our actual program here loaded up in the browser, if we're looking at accounts, we want to see a list of all accounts. This would be the all method. We click here, it runs the all method, it returns all three accounts, two checking accounts and one savings account in the database. So it returns that list of those. Go back here, we can do the same thing with transactions. We could see a list of all transactions here. This is the all method again. It gives me all the transactions that are stored in the database. We go back, we could see a list of transactions for a specific account. This would be the where method. So let's say we wanted to see transactions just specifically for account number 1. Using the where method, we get just those transactions which are affecting account number 1. So our refactoring in our database class methods dries things up, makes things a little bit more single responsibility minded, and that's the refactoring that I did.